probably, I don't know if people are watching it, but they can if they want. And we're also allowing people to call in from Zoom if they want to as well. We want to make sure that we give everybody every opportunity to hear what we're doing, to learn about what we're proposing before we bring any recommended changes to the board, and to give all of you and anybody else the opportunity to share with us what you think and what your thoughts are on this process. Just a couple quick notes. This is not a board meeting. This is just staff holding a hearing. What we're going to do is take all of the feedback and comments that we get tonight and summarize it. We'll make any modifications as appropriate to the process you're going to hear about a little bit more. And then on the 14th of November, I think that's the date. Yes, that's our next regularly scheduled board meeting. If all, barring something unforeseen, what we'll be doing is bringing a final draft of our recommendations to the board at that meeting and to have them approve, hopefully, the new regulations at that time. So all of your thoughts and comments will be captured and shared with them prior to that. Let's see. So as far as tonight goes, we'll start by having Assistant Superintendent Heldman go over the process and the changes that it's changed a little bit. Some of you were here last time, I think, and based on the feedback from that meeting and input from the school board, we made a few more changes, and that will highlight those. Then we'll allow for public comment. I think it says we have a fairly small group, well, maybe 20, 30 people. So what I think we'll do is we will go through the process, the public hearing part of it, where you'll have 3 minutes to speak, and we'll rotate back and forth between people in the room and then people on Zoom. And then after that, we'll probably, I want to respect people's time, so we'll probably adjourn the meeting, but then we'll stick around. And if anybody has any questions about any specific items, we'll try to address them there. And that way people who want to go can go. And if anybody has any individual questions, staff will be here until and to answer any questions you have. So I think with that, we'll jump right into it. So Assistant Superintendent Heldman will again give you an overview of what's new and what isn't.
Okay, thank you. So I'm the CBO, or Assistant Superintendent for Business Services, and Facilities and Rentals are one of the things that are under my purview. Can you hear me in the back? Okay. Are one of the things that are under my purview in my role. Again, we appreciate you being here. Clearly, based on the crowd, this is an area of interest in our community. So thank you for that. I'd like to say that, while this rental from facilities or facility usage is definitely not our bread and butter as a public education, there are real costs associated with it. Therefore, this is an important topic for us as well, which is why we have held several opportunities to go through it in a very thoughtful manner. And thanks for being here tonight. So I'm just going to start off where we left off. For those of you who have been following along, I'm going to talk about the changes from the last opportunity that this was discussed, which was the 3rd of October. I believe that was the 3rd of October. And noting the input or directions, if I may, that we received from that meeting are the things that I'm going to be focusing on. There weren't very many because, like I said, we have been honing in and fine-tuning this material for the last, for at least a few times now. So what you see here really are the major changes from the last discussion that we had on this, and it really affects the rate sheet. Again, for those of you following along, the changes really are, I'd say, minimal. It's really more for clarity. So I'm going to note what those are. I feel like I should stand up, but
If you want to go for it.
yeah, it might be better. You can see the screen, right? So from the last meeting, one of the things that we changed from October 3rd to now is this line item, which is the last line item. The district is waiving the one-time fee for group 1. As you can see here, the line item is so that it provides clarity to the people who would fall under group 1. So there is no charge, and then it goes on in terms of what that charge would be. The other item that we want to provide clarity based on the input from the 3rd of October is this column for group 1 in terms of under what circumstances will that group would have to pay for labor costs for custodial. That wasn't very clear in the October 3rd version, so now it's saying for those group, and we've gone through the different definition or the different description for each of these group. So it's no charge, and then here we hope that they provide clarity in terms of the exception to the no charge, and again, this only affects group one. So we're starting with no charge, because these are our district or school programs, except for these circumstances. So those two really were the change that affected the fee structure. And I'm noting here that this is the new version based on the input from October 3rd.
Ms. Heldman, quick question. So one of the things we tried to do with the new rate structure is to streamline a little bit. It was pretty confusing before, in my opinion, where you had the flat rate for what facility you were hoping to rent, but then there was the maintenance fee, and then there was the utilities fee, and if you added, I think it was a little complicated that way. We did that because we're obligated to charge those fees, but we tried to embed those into one flat rate now to make it a lot more user friendly. And yeah, I don't know if you want to mention that or.
Yeah, and in addition to that too, while I was able to line item this clearly in terms of the different groups, this didn't really fit that the same way that this would, because it's never even, for those of you who fall in group one, it's not always going to be 0, because there is an exception based on these circumstances, which is why I couldn't do it the same way that I did this change. Does that make sense? So in terms of the rate structure, those are the changes. And for those of you who may have missed some previous meetings, we actually used to have 3 groups. We were describing our users into 3 different groups. Given the nature of the different groups that we are that we work with, in terms of the partners that we have and the relationship that we have with these different partners, is we expanded the groups from 3 groups to 4 groups, so that we can really capture, who would belong to each of those groups based on how we can find them. And it's consistent with the Civic Center Act or the Education Code that governs this. Is there anything else that I'm missing? I think on this one, those are the only changes.
We're pretty informal here at this point. Is anybody confused about what the different groups, which types of users would fall in each group? If you are, just raise your hand real quick and we can do a quick synopsis. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, let's see if I can do it. So in that group one, that those are that was good. Whoever made it bigger.
For you to read.
Oh, yeah, that's good. I think I can do it though.
Right.
Group one,
Sorry.
if I had to just characterize it generally, those are our school groups or groups that are designated by Ed Code and government code as groups that we should treat as school groups. For example, the Boy Scouts and would fall under that. And those are prescribed in Ed Code. So pretty much, if you're thinking about it, those are just school groups. Our own users, our boosters, are the schools foundation, things like that. Group one would be groups that aren't school related, but serve our community. And those would be like our football program out here that serves youth football for our kids. A lot of our sports, our youth leagues would fall under group one, which is again, serving our community, but not directly affiliated with a school. And if you take a look, one of the things you'll see is we've actually dropped the rate from what it used to be for a group one user to, we've lowered it a little bit to try to give our own community groups a little bit of a break if you're not a school group. Group two would be nonprofit organizations that aren't serving our youth, such as senior centers, other groups like that, community groups that are, again, nonprofit, churches, things like that, that are, again, nonprofit and serving our community, but not affiliated with, not serving our youth directly and not affiliated with the school. And group four is, hey, we just want to use your facility because we want to make some money. Okay, good. You're a group four user. So we have that. Those are the structures we're proposing. And it was one of our trustees, Vice President Kumar, who actually brought this in. It is a good structure that I think will work well for our community. Now, and then we have one thing that Ms. Hellman will talk about in a minute, which is there are some groups that have been with us for a long time that have served our community for a long, long time. And what we're talking about recommending a legacy period for some of these groups that have been really serving our community and our students for a long time. So that'll be coming up next. Does that explain, email? Does that in generally give you an idea of what those 4 groups are? Okay, cool.
And we have an exhibit that actually explains what the superintendent just described. It's part of the handbook that is also attached to the agenda that I will show in a little bit. Let's see, I think I saw a hand at some point. Was there a question on that, or was your question answered? All right, I see none.
I had a question. So what about like Little Leagues?
So we'll get to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Little Leagues in this structure right here would fall under group 1.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'll move on to the next material that I wanted to share, which is leading to the partners that we've been working with for some time, that have there's a partnership between us and those organizations. We want to develop a process in terms of recognizing them as we're referring to them as legacy groups. So what's on the screen would be the process that we are proposing to the board in terms of the criteria and the timeline on how we can establish these different groups who would fall into that category. In yellow are the things that are new from October 3rd. Everything else was presented at the October 3rd meeting. So those were based on notes that we captured at the last discussion.
And I think that to capture that, the only thing that's really new there is that there was a recommendation for us to have some kind of way of documenting how you would meet the residency requirement, and that's what's there.
That's the yellow under item 2 under process. And the reason why the date is to be determined is because that deals with the timeline. The clock will start ticking after this is approved by the board. As you will see there, the proposal is for, I believe, 3 weeks after board approval of this process, where we will start collecting the materials based on the criteria that is established here or being proposed. And for the district to review what those are, that's why that date is important.
Yeah. And then if there is a group that meets the criteria for legacy status, what we would do is then work with each of those groups to on an individual memorandum of understanding to capture what that means, and so that those would be individual agreements with those groups separate after that the board would approve independently and separately from the structure.
All right.
Does anybody need clarity around that? I know that. Yes, sir.
Yes, so it's 3 weeks from the approval of this policy. Correct?
Yeah.
Which is probably the 14th.
Yeah, if it all goes well, it'd be the 14th, and then we would send out. We've been trying to communicate directly by Jason's been trying to. Director Rogers has been trying to communicate directly with our community users. We have all your emails, so you will get a notice. Anybody who's one of the heads of these organizations will send it out right away, and we'll work with you to try to, if you think you qualify for legacy status, to do that.
All right. Looking around if there's anything else, but those are the notes and changes that we wanted to cover in terms of the process for legacy groups.
Where can we find that document?
It is actually part of the board agenda. You can actually download it from there.
Yeah.
Now, it's not final because we actually are going to be presenting this to the board on the 14th of November.
Thanks.
Okay. So I think the next item.
We have a question.
Yeah, how did you get the number 70%?
That's actually always been in our application process. We wanted to stay consistent with that, and we feel that it's an area that we did not want to have to make a change on, so we're staying consistent with what we've done in the past.
But
Is
now
that annually or over the length of the group's been?
Well, that's a good question. In this case, if we have a 3-week period, and I don't want to punt here, so maybe I'll defer to you.
Yeah, that's something that we would work out within it would probably be as part of a memorandum of understanding with a legacy group. It would probably be an annual requirement to submit a roster with an address on there, so we could just have some kind of verification. That's really what that highlighted section in number 2 it calls for, some type of, and that would be captured in an individual agreement with whatever organization we're working with. So but it would be probably, again, our facilities were our community pays for our facilities through your taxes. And so we want to make sure that was always that 70% requirement for group one users has always been in place. And that's why it's there. But when you have a chance to speak, if you have another recommendation, we'd be happy to hear it and we'll consider it for
So
sure.
you're saying it'd be year to year?
Yeah, each year, probably you would submit, as a each year, a legacy group would probably still have to fill out an application because we need to know what your plans are for using the facilities. And as part of that application would be submitting a roster of the students that are the community members you're serving to make sure you're consistent with that 70%.
And I believe, I can't see it there, it was captured that part of this process would be an annual review, and that was contemplated from the very beginning anyway, so I think we're gonna stick with that.
Yeah. Good
Okay.
questions, though.
Yes. All right, I see no more hands. I'd like to go on to the full handbook, please, staff. The one thing, another good result from these conversations is, not that we were able to actually put together a document that, codifies the process. And we wanted to make it clear for our community. When this is approved, we will be posting it on our website. It's not any, except for the things that we've been discussing as revisions and changes. It's essentially the same process in terms of applying for use of facilities. The nice thing is we now have a formal document that people can look into, and hopefully would provide that guidance. So, could you please scroll up just, one page at a time I'm sorry. Oh, yes. There you go. So we wanted, essentially what you see covered in this document are these different things as part of the table of contents. I mentioned earlier in terms of if there's any wonderings or any, additional guidance needed in terms of, well, what group do I fall in? We explain that very thoroughly under Exhibit A. Exhibit B is the schedule of fees that we would be proposing to the board. And Exhibit C, that's different because the Performing Arts Center is something different, but we wanted to document all our facilities in one handbook. So here you will find different guidance in terms of what is the process for application? Where do we go? What is the fee? So all of those important things are now codified in this one document. What can we bring if it's a building? What can we bring there? Can we make decorations? Can we use the kitchen? So all of those things are now codified and are documented. This was discussed at the last meeting. It's essentially saying in terms of the duration of a permitted event. So that's something new from October 3rd.
Yeah, and the short of that was, I think that we had a 6-month period for application renewal, but we realized that didn't work well based on feedback. We realized that it's now per school year. So if you apply, for example, you have an event that's going past a 6-month period for some reason, your application is good for a school year instead of having to potentially have to renew it after a 6-month period.
Yes, what we were trying to avoid is crossing a school year or abating a school year. So we added that clarification there. If there's no yellow, it means it's still the same as what was presented on the 3rd. We have a flow chart on, just to guide people on where do I go, what do I do, while I'm waiting for my application, where is it, what part of the process is it in? Another yellow would be given the discussions in terms of how the district needing a mechanism to verify the 70% civic membership is that item A3. We would be requesting certain materials in order for us to facilitate the review process for the legacy group. I'm just going to go quickly because there hasn't been any changes on anything else. And this is the one that I presented earlier. And that is for the CPA, the Center for Performing Arts over at Logan, which is a totally different process, a totally different department or staff who actually manages that. But we wanted it to be there, so it's a one-stop shop for folks who are interested in using our facilities.
All right, so that's, with that, I think we'll transition to hearing from all of you about what's next. I would, what would be most helpful for us, and one of our goals is to try to create something that's fair and consistent that everybody can have a reference to, and also to streamline things and make it easier for all of you to use our facilities. So what would be helpful, for example, Mission Valley Track, I know I see all the Mission Valley people out there. Hey, we get it. This is a valuable program for our community. But if you have, what would be helpful is if you have any suggestions on what you might like to see done differently here, or any feedback on, we've gotten really good feedback so far. We've modified this multiple times based on feedback we've received. But if you think there's something that we should consider that we haven't, something that you think we should modify or change before we bring a recommendation to the board, that would be great. Testimonials about how great the program is, absolutely. You got 3 minutes, go ahead. But that, and that certainly, there's no harm in that, believe me, please do. But if you're thinking about it and what would be most helpful moving forward, would be any suggestions you have about how to do things differently. So again, what we'll do is we'll give everybody 3 minutes to share whatever you'd like to share. Comments are, again, I don't think it's a problem with this group, but comments for this meeting are specific to this process. So if you have a question about, or an issue about something else, this isn't the meeting for that. And let's see, let me make sure I'm not skipping anything. I have some notes here. For those of you out on Zoom who aren't here, there are specific directions in the meeting agenda that we have. But the short of it is, if you would like to speak, use the raise your hand feature on Zoom. Is there, I guess the camera's over there. Okay. And we will rotate back and forth between people in the audience and Zoom. Anybody wants to speak on Zoom. If you do not have if you're calling in by phone, you need to raise your hand. You can raise your hand by pressing *9, and we'll go from there. And then when it's your, let's see. Oh yeah. When it's your turn, the last 4 digits of your phone number will be called out because we won't see your name. Okay. So a quick check here. Dina, do we have any Zoom people that want to speak?
We have 2 hands raised.
Okay, so we'll go, they'll be second and fourth. And with that, we'll call our first speaker up, which is Ana Campa. You are number 1.
Yeah.
You don't mind too, just sharing what organization you're with, just so we can keep track.
Mission Valley,
Okay,
longtime resident, grew up in Dakota, now live over here by New Haven Middle School. My ask is, I don't know if you're aware that our organization, we don't charge. Coach Webb doesn't charge anybody. So now, if we're going to start to be charged to use the use of the facility, where's that money going to come from? Because Coach Hope Powell set it up to not charge anybody. Kids, vets, Special Olympics. I mean, they teach everybody, they coach everybody. And Coach Webb wants to continue that. I've come from another organization where, you know, we paid a lot of money out of pocket for very little knowledge. And part of your mission statement is success for students or for the community. I don't think you'll find a better coach to provide that in Coach Webb. And so when we found this organization, it was a blessing. And now that blessing's at risk if you charge our organization. So I don't know if there's a way to provide another column for organizations that are free, that the service is free. You know, the other thing is you're talking about legacy. I mean, if you look at the thousands of kids that Coach Webb has gotten to Junior Olympics, to the Olympics, to pro sports, to college. I mean, the list is, I mean, that's a legacy. You know what I mean? It's not 70% of the community, you know? And the thing is that many of our kids are they're not high school level yet, you know? So why can't you look at it as, instead of going against us, as a way to recruit, to get kids, to get more kids into our district. Because currently our district, if I understand, is Union City and South Hayward, right? Right. So if we have some, kids that are coming from Fremont, once they get to high school level, they're going to have an impact on their parents of where they want to go. And if they're used to this facility, and they're going to talk to their parents and, let us go to Logan. Doesn't that put money on the books for the district? If there's some way to figure out how we can continue to, allow Coach Webb to provide this impeccable service free, because if we start having to be charged, we might lose that. And this is an organization that's been here for plus 30 years. So if you could find a way, we would appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, we'll take our next speaker from Zoom, and I don't know who that will be, but
It's gonna be Rod Vaughn. Rod Vaughn, you can go ahead and.
Hey,
speak now.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
Right. So I'm also from Mission Valley Track and Field. I know we have said all about what we have done, but talking about that 70%, right? That's the only catch that I guess it's going to be difficult for a organization like Mission Valley Track and Field to satisfy all the time, because we are free. Registrations happen all throughout the year, and then there are kids who are going to come after school, after the school sessions are over. The middle school, high school kids come and join in May, June. So we don't really have a way to keep that 70% all the time, or just prove it at the front of the starting of the year. When we talk about legacy groups, right, we're talking about the history that we have had, what we have given to the community. If we can actually look at if there is a way to incorporate saying, okay, in the past 15 years of your organization, or 20 years of your organization, how much of it has been Union City? Instead of just saying, oh, this year, this month, you are 70%, next month, you are 60%. So you lose your legacy status. It would be difficult, and especially like an organization like Mission Valley Track and Field. Right? So that's one of the things that I was thinking that maybe the committee and the board can consider. And the other one is that when we look at who is registered or who is living in the NHUSD district, but we have kids of alumni of Logan, of people who have lived in Union City and gone to our schools. They know about the program. They move to nearby cities for work, but they still come back here. And they are still, like, if you talk about alumni, they also I would consider as part of our community, right? So that's also something that maybe we should look at. I know it does complicate things. So that's where the 70% is always a how do we prove it? Our registrations don't happen in the starting of the year, so it's very difficult to prove. So if something can be thought about that, especially for organizations where we don't charge anything and our registrations happen throughout the year, we don't want to say no to someone who comes and says, I want to learn. And well, that's what we want to give to the community. Now, how we can keep giving that, and if we get support from.
Okay, Rowan, I'm sorry, your time is up, but I think we got it. The 70% is the part you'd like us to reconsider, and or coming up with some way that we could do that in a manner that is consistent and works for Mission Valley. So thank you for that. All right, next up is Lee.
All right, my name's Lee Webb. Former teacher here and a coach. I was been with the Mission Valley Track and Field. This will be our 42nd year. At the beginning, the Mission Valley Track and Field Club was so we could practice in the off season. So it was mainly high school. So for probably the first 40 years here, we've always had 70%. So, but then we opened it up to students that were younger. So it attracted a lot of people because there's not a lot of programs, if any, that are close by to Union City. And we're talking at least 1 hour they got to travel. So, I mean, that's, the 70%, I mean, that's tough, but, it's just something that hopefully you can look at and we can work with. As far as the legacy goes, I mean, I'd like to see somebody's a legacy status, do something in the community. As far as going to schools, we go to school. Last year, we went to 3 or 4 schools with Olympians, talked to students. I brought them in for free. We went to 1 or 2 hour sessions. They did clinics last year. Those are some of the things that we do during the year. Christmas giving, I gave out 50 Christmas trees to students in Union City. My first priority has always been Union City, take care of Union City and then, spread the word. And a lot of times I don't even put any information out anyplace else, but I'm getting all these other students from other cities. And our program entails kids 3 years old, okay, to Betts, who's 90 years old, who broke American records in the Masters. I have students on my roster from alumni that live in Hawaii, that daughter state champion all the way to New York. Her daughter's going to Stanford, or on my roster that come once in a while to train or, want knowledge. They want to be on the club roster. So the dynamics are much different. We don't cut anybody. The other sports that you'll have, they're basically, you got to live in Union City to be on Union City. Probably baseball or soccer, maybe not football. And our sport, they can come from anywhere. And I looked through all the years, the program, what we did, and all the things it entails. People that came, a lot of at least 10 a year, at least, would move to Union City, get a job in Union City, do something to be here to be part of the program. Not only in our sport, but in probably some other, forensics or some other, maybe wrestling. And if you count that over 30 years, what is that? That's millions of dollars. That's income that a legacy group brought in for the school district. I mean, that's just another way to look at it. And then when we do outside events, so I host the nationals for the decathlon, the multi-events, Paralympics, Special Olympics, and we pay for the facility when we have the events. Just for the practice, we never really had to, really pay any money. But we did. If you look through all these sheets, the documentation of facilities, we've definitely put in our money, thousands and thousands of dollars, wear and tear on the track. I mean, I don't know. They were going to make a fund for that, and I don't know whatever happened to that one. But that's just something to look at as we move on, and our facilities need to be upgraded. But I mean, I could probably write a whole book on the facilities.
All right.
I went over there.
That's all right. We got you. Next, we'll go back to Zoom.
So we have, last name is ERAIAH.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Siddha Iraya, and I'm the Scoutmaster for Scouts BSA Golf Troop 2273 in Union City. We are a nonprofit and a volunteer-based organization. I understand the importance of maintenance and operating school facilities efficiently, but I would like to discuss the fees being associated as a now termed what used to be restroom fee and MPR utility fee, now termed as custodial fees. Scouts in Troop 2273 have been active in the community, have been using this facility in Delaney Easton, the MPR, for 2 years. And it is highly educational and very important for character building opportunities provided by scouting, and the support of our local school district is instrumental in fostering these values. Last year, I paid per meeting a restroom usage fee of $25 per meeting and a MPR usage fee of $5.75 per hour. For us, it is $11.50. The sad thing about that fee is the custodians, they clean it after we use the facilities during the business hours, and the custodians clean it after we leave. There is no additional cost that came up for the school or the district because we were there. And we would like to request waiving the custodian fees for group 1 during operating hours, because we are a nonprofit organization and it's a volunteer-based organization, and paying for the MPR in Delaney Easton is our biggest cost in running our troop, which is adding value to young youth in Union City and neighboring cities. And I thank you for your consideration. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And I think that's the recommended changes we have would have during normal working hours would waive those fees, if I remember.
That's
So
correct.
that's, think,
No, there's a minimum of 2 hours. If we meet there for 2 hours, we are forced to pay $1.50 per hour. That's what the document says.
yeah, that's, thank you. We'll take that in consideration. That's, I think if it's during what we're recommending is if it's during for group 1 users during normal operation hours, there would be no more charge. So that's, I think we're recommending the same thing you would like us to do, which is good, I think. So that's good. Thank you for that. All right, next up, we have Christian Morales.
Hello, my name is Christian Morales, longtime Union City resident and South Haven resident. I am a Guy Emmanuel, Bernard White, and James Logan High School alumni. You know, so I ran for Coach Webb. I think this program is amazing. You know, you mentioned fair and consistent. We're a program that accepts all ages. You know, there's no cutoff, like Coach Webb mentioned earlier. I've tried different sports, tried to join different sports when I was in middle school. I made the cutoff for the volleyball team. Other people didn't. High school, I tried for the soccer team, didn't make the cutoff. Tried for the football team, didn't make the cutoff. Tried for the basketball team, didn't make the cutoff. I came to track and field. I was accepted. I was MVP, you know. That's part of what the program is, you know. This year, I got to participate in a race. My daughter, 8 years old, ran alongside of me. My son, 11 years old, 100 meters, I ran alongside of him. My 3-year-old son competed, you know, all ages, you know, Special Olympics meet, you know, that we had them there. We had Olympians come out all for free, you know. I personally say where the best sports are for my kids. I want what's best for them. You know, I don't really stick for other sports like for Union City. I go somewhere else so they could get the training over there. When it comes down to track and field, Mission Valley Track and Field Club is, I mean, I was part of it, and I've seen how many All-Americans, all these world records came out of there. So of course I'm going to take them to Mission Valley Track and Field, and hopefully they learn something there, you know, especially from all the Olympians that we bring. Elementary, you know, they don't really provide these programs. My daughter, she goes to Guy Emmanuel right now. My son goes to Cesar Chavez. Cesar Chavez now started a cross-country team. They have some sports, but Guy Emmanuel has nothing for those little age kids. I mean, my daughter was made to the Union Olympics last year in track and field, 3 events in cross country, you know, Union City, and she wouldn't have done that because there's no clubs around here. I would have to drive an hour away, like Coach Webb said, just to be able to give her the opportunity. She loves to run, you know, and she loves to throw. My son's a thrower, qualified for Junior Olympics for the AAU league, you know, so it's a beautiful program. It's free, all ages. I mean, we have it all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, are there any more Zoom? No hands raised. Okay, then we'll move on with the folks that are here. So it looks like Regis Bernard.
My name is Regis. So I have 8-year-old. His name is Joel, and he's studying in Kitayama. So basically, like I wanted to talk about. I'm part of the Mission Valley Track and Field family, and I really wanted to talk about the impact which it has to my family and plus my kid. And so basically, this is the only program which I could see which is available from Hayward to until maybe Fremont, even Milpitas. If I had to take this this kind of track and field coaching for my kid, I had to drive I need to drive all the way to Santa Clara to provide all this additional experience or expertise what he's looking for in this. So my son actually started this program in the last year, and he's already in the top player in the region 14, which includes the Central and North California, and also he actually got qualified for the nationals. So without this program, basically, I'm coming from non-sport background. So basically, I just study and I just started working. This is one of the really important program in my son's life because apart from studying, he's get a lot of social skills by just coming here. And also just participating with even different diversity group and everything. So this is, I feel very important. And also our group, our club never charge for anything. It's a completely volunteer based. Parents volunteer for this, and then we try to watch for the kids and help for the kids wherever possible and whenever possible. And just by providing more, and as everybody said, just providing this 70% cutoff and other things, because most of the time, even Coach Webb mentioned, we have done multiple clinics in different elementary schools. And maybe there is one thing we can actually start doing it from our even from our district side as well, enforcing about this program to more kids, because I never received more communication about this club over our notification or any other means, so that also can help us to increase our user base from this area. And the other one is also in the elementary school, we don't have this kind of program. So basically they just have some other play area, but he's just 8, and then he was able to start understanding the sport and able to participate and win this. That gives him the great confidence. So if we are not providing this as a free of cost, because then everything has to be accounted for, and then it's no longer a non-profit organization. So that's the one thing which I wanted to definitely share. It's a great use for my kid, and definitely we will be talking more about it in the school in the coming years, and we'll be able to bring more and more kids through this. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, Christine Watnick.
All right, hello, good evening. I'm Christine. I have an 8th grade son at IVC. I have a 4th grade daughter at Pioneer. And I have the word sucker written across my forehead. So I am currently the Cub Master for Cub Scout Pack 273, which serves kindergarten through 5th graders, and we meet at Pioneer. I'm Assistant Scoutmaster for Scouts BSA Troop 110, which serves boys 6th grade through age 18, and we're currently meeting at IVC. And then I've also been the treasurer of the Pioneer Parent Teacher Club since my 8th grade son was in kindergarten. I don't want to do that math. So I just want to say thank you for continuing to collect feedback. Thank you for the updates that you have made, incorporating the feedback so far. Obviously, for the 3 organizations I'm involved in, I think most of the feedback has been positive for us. So that's wonderful. And again, thank you for letting us use the facilities. And, I think I mentioned last time, COVID sucked. So, we're glad to be able to, indoors away from the, not having to rely on the weather cooperating. In terms of the specific changes from my Pioneer PTC hat, I appreciate waiving the application fee. Right, the PTC, we're planning random events throughout the year, a board game night, a movie night. And if we're having to submit an application one by one as we plan the events, those application fees are really going to add up. So I appreciate that being waived. Sort of going along with the Scoutmaster from Troop 2273, I feel like the document is unclear with respect to the restroom fees or the custodial fees. Right, there's that direct fees table at the bottom of Exhibit B, which is, still a little bit confusing when it applies. Restrooms aren't explicitly in the big table at the top. I just feel like some clarity could be there. I'm thrilled to hear that you guys are planning on waiving those for group one, so I won't harp on that anymore. And I guess, just my last point is with respect to the 70%. Again, just a place in the doc where it could be improved in the Exhibit A, which is classifying the groups. It never mentions the 70% explicitly for the group one groups. In the approved permit section, it says there. So it is in the doc. I just feel like it could be in both places. And then I think, just going along with what, some of the folks from Mission Valley and whatnot have said, I think I'm lucky right now that my 2 scouting units, we're at 70% or pretty close to it. But it fluctuates. We're so close to Fremont. We do get people coming in from Fremont, and it varies from year to year. And we don't want to have to be in the position of saying, sorry, you can't join, go somewhere else, because, we're going to lose the facilities. So yeah, I think those are my points. Again, just thank you again.
Thank you. All right. We have Felicia Yao. Okay.
My name is Felicia. I'm from the Union City American Little League. And I haven't been able to look at all the documents, but I wasn't sure where we're going to even fall. We've been here for 40 years. We have paid a lot for permit fees in the years, and last year we had to cut back tremendously because the thousands of dollars it was costing us. I'm not really sure where we're ending up right now. But my biggest concern is we take all kids, we don't cut them. They play, all the local kids, and they look forward to it. And we try to give them the best opportunity to be in the community and play, and and we even scholarship people. We do have to charge some because we have all this balls. We have a lot of stuff to pay for. My one thing is I'm not sure if this is the meeting for it, but is Kenny Garcia part of this these fields that you guys are all referring to?
Which
It's the baseball field at IVC.
yeah, that's ours.
Okay, well, because for that one, we would always have to go to the district separate, and they were charging us $20 an hour for this dirt field that they do nothing with. And we wanting us to pay for the custodian to come unlock it, and in 2 hours come back and lock it up. It just seemed like seems like it's an unfair cost. And it was more, that field was more than what we were paying for the other field, the other baseball fields that we pay for all our kids. So I didn't know if that was going to be part of for this, or this was going to be part for all of the fields, and them not a separate entity. So that's, our concern, because all the kids that play in that, those are the middle schoolers that play on that field. Some might just start Logan, but that's the only field that's big enough to put these boys on. And 90% of those kids come from IVC that come to play. So I just think that cost is just way outrageous, that people should look at if, that is in the structure for you guys.
Thank you. We'll
Okay.
definitely take a look at that. All right. Next up, Andres Asaguera.
Good evening. I'm with the Union City Dirtbags. It's a travel baseball team. And after Miss Yao is done with their little league, I've permitted the baseball diamond at IVCMS for about the last 3 years. And my main concern is kind of echoing what Alicia said, is the field maintenance. The field is not maintained outside of maybe mowing the lawn every once in a while. We actually take pride in maintaining the field ourselves. After an off season, the entire infield, which was dirt, is all weeds, and we go out there and take care of it, all the maintenance on that. Up until the time IVC softball starts, then it seems like there's maintenance done on it for them, but all the while I've been paying on the field. I have no problem paying, but I'd expect that if I'm paying something, I should be getting something that I can play on all the time. The second part is the access to the field. I permitted it, was never allowed to receive a key for it. There was supposed to be a custodian that would open for us. That was hit or miss. Those are just my two concerns. I appreciate the time.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have Madam, oh boy, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna pronounce your last name right, begins with a Garro. Sorry about that. How do you pronounce?
That must be me. My name is Madan Tyagarajan. So good evening. I've been a resident of Union City for 6 years now. My son, he's here. His name is Samath. He goes to first grade in Tom Kitayama Elementary. So I'm representing Mission Valley Track and Field Club here. So a little bit of a testimonial, the skills that the young athletes have. It's been honed a lot in the club, and then the dedication, commitment, and the consistency the coaches show here, teach the young athletes, is very invaluable. So I would request, of course, the decision makers to reconsider the numbers 20%, and yeah, that'll be of great help to us. And as a lot of us here mentioned, they don't charge us here in the club. So if we could also get to use the facilities for no charge, that'll be great. Yeah, from the moment my son has heard about this, he's been trying to promote and spread the word among the kids in his school, and trying to scout and recruit talents here to the club, so we could make it to the 70% cut. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, Laura, it looks like Sasson. I can't.
Yeah, that's like, so everybody gets it wrong. So I'm Laura. I actually am not a resident of Union City. I actually live in Hayward. I have an 8-year-old daughter who runs, and essentially we've been looking for a club for a while now. She's pretty special, and I know everybody says that about their child, but she is something that has, all these ambitions of being in the Olympics one day and breaking the mold and being somebody of color to be able to join something like this and do something big. We've been shopping around for a club for quite some time. I actually have been looked at Santa Clara, like some of the other parents have said. I've looked at Dublin, Pleasanton as well. And we talked a lot to family members. Everybody who is a resident here in Union City that are family members said that Mission Valley, Coach Webb. Every single person I've talked to has said the same thing. I've talked to other coaches from Moreau, from Chabot. Everybody says Coach Webb is the real deal. And so I want to be able to make sure that we can continue that legacy. And it's really hard on that 70%, because there's a lot of us who don't live in the area, who may not be able to afford to be able to live in Union City. And so that's why we are given other opportunities to be a part of a club like this, who don't necessarily have the means to be able to live in this particular city. So that's where I think it's a little bit challenging, because then otherwise, what are we going to do for some of those other people that can't necessarily afford to live in Union City? And so that's why I want to take into consideration that 70% and really take a look at that legacy status and see if there's something else we can do about that.
Okay, thank you. All right, it looks like Robert, and I'm sorry, now this one I think is Flores, okay. That's your writing, I think, not my. Sorry, Robert.
Not a doctor, just a teacher.
I get it.
Good evening. Thank you for having me tonight. Like I said earlier, just the fact that this is even talked about possibility is big, it's huge. I am part of North Coast Grapplers. I'm the president, coach, the guy in charge. We're we're a nonprofit organization who serve, Union City and surrounding cities for wrestling. It's a wrestling program. It's a youth wrestling program. It's been now since started in 2015. We don't charge a lot since then about 95% of our students are from New Haven Unified. So the 70% is it's something that we should be able to attain. The only thing that I would like to consider, or maybe possibly ask, is that so Union City wrestling clubs have started back in like 1982 with the Logan Wrestling Club. And then it started to East Bay Freestylers, and then it was Union City Wrestling Club, and now it's North Coast Grapplers. And the reason why we changed that name is to provide other opportunities for outside people to come and feel welcomed and possibly join New Haven Unified. So I don't know how that's going to work as far as the application process goes for the possible legacy group, since we've only been in it since 2015, but that's just under that specific name. But we, like I said, it has been, I wrestled for East Bay Freestylers when I was, and it's the same program, the same people involved. So yeah, that's my only main concern, is that when that application process does go in, if we put down North Coast Grapplers, it's a nonprofit that started in 2015, but that's not the 30-year mark.
Right.
So that's just my main concern. Again, I just want to thank you guys, and hopefully everything goes good. So
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. All right. It looks like we have Douglas Frisbee.
Right.
Got it.
My name's Douglas Frisbee. I've been a resident of Fremont since 1966 until about 6 months ago. I relocated to San Joaquin County, about an hour and a half from here. So I drove here to be here tonight. That's how important it was. Okay. I made a few notes. My sons David and Matthew were kicked out of every sports program they ever entered in. Every after school program, you name it, they were kicked out of. Coach Pope Powell and Lee Webb said, "We will not kick your sons out of this program." David was 6 years old when he started running with Lee Webb. Lee Webb guided him to eventually run in the National Junior Olympics and place second in the 1500 meters. A 17-year-old young man. His guidance definitely kept my son on the right path. Without him, I don't think that would have happened. I don't think this community has enough years left before this world's gone for them to even pay Lee Webb back. Okay, much less charging him. None of us could ever repay him for what he's done for the community or for us. One of the notes I wanted to make is, as far as sacrifice, I remember, I think it was Florida, at one of the Junior Olympics, Lee Webb was sleeping on the couch in the hotel room so that we could have the bed. He got up at 2 a.m. to go pick up somebody who came to the airport at 2 a.m. to bring them back. Those are the kind of sacrifices this man made. Okay. Currently, your district, at least his program represents that, does not discriminate against minorities, low income, or people with disabilities. Lee Webb's program caters to all socioeconomic people, all races, and all, whether you have a disability or not. To see the adult children that in the Special Olympics that he works with is just, it puts tear in your eye. You asked for a solution. You said, "Hey, if you've got a solution, offer it." Okay. I do have a solution. It's very simple. For people like Lee Webb, who have been in the program for a certain number of years, grandfather their men. There's no need to make a change. I can see maybe for new organizations coming up, maybe. But for people who are legacies like Lee Webb and his program, which I think originally was Pope Powell, right? Am I correct? Should not be charged a penny. And I mean, when I heard this, I was shocked. And I hope you guys can take all this into consideration, all these people here sacrificing their time tonight for the program and for Lee Webb and for your community. Thank you.
Thank you for making that. All right. Yes. Okay, let's shift in. We'll do a Zoom one.
I think it's Dagan Daya. You can go ahead and speak now.
Oh, hi. I am Nagananda Jaishankar. Now, I live in Union City. My kids goes to, like, my elder one goes to James Logan, and my younger one is a sixth grader at, Itlewong, Itlewong Middle School. So I'm here part of Troop 2273. Basically, I'm just echoing whatever the Siddha Iraya asked for earlier. Like, right now I'm here to ask, like, is it possible for you guys to remove the restroom fees and the utility fees which is being charged to us? The reason why we are asking is, like, the cost to these costs are driving, like, is so high for us, like, and we can use this cost for better, buy the better troop equipments, or can take the kids for, like, nature study. It's going to help the kids in becoming the next leaders, or it helps them in becoming, like, the good person or good social citizen, like, so I'm just asking you guys, like, is it possible to remove this for the group 1 category?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think actually the latest round of recommendations covers that. But it looks like we may need some more clarity on that.
Yeah, only group 4 actually is being charged utility.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, and looks like any more on Zoom there?
No.
Okay. All right, looks like we have our last, any other blue cards that I missed? We have. Thank you. All right, we'll do. Okay, so we'll go Sunny Kadia.
So I'm a Fremont resident, and I'm here to talk about Mission Valley, as you can see from my attire. Right? So I've never seen such a noble program like Mission Valley Track and Field. On the surface, you would think that this program is for track and field. Anyone who wants an opportunity to run can come to this program. But this program is much more than that. It creates strong character kids. It promotes collaboration, communication, and most importantly, giving back to the community. If you look at the cap which they have, you see a green heart here. This symbolizes bullying, teen suicide, which is such a big problem in the community. It addresses that. It talks to kids about that. Mission Valley does donations, scholarships, and so many other things. Like Coach Webb said, he can probably write a book on the things he has done. I personally want to talk about my story. My son was a rookie at Mission Valley. Coach Webb and several other coaches, which he brings on for free, trained him. And I'm fortunate that he stood 6th in the National Junior Olympics at Eugene. And what we see at the National Junior Olympic Eugene is my son's name, Mission Valley, and then Union City, California. It brings Union City, California at a national level, where everyone out there looks at on a national stage and sees where people come from, and they see Union City, California. I'm really happy about my son's achievement, that he stood 6th, but more happy that he's become a matured and a stronger character kid. There is no program in the Bay Area which teaches characters to kids. That's such a big problem right now, which we have with kids, and if this program is stopped, seized, or paused because of school barriers, or because of where we live barrier, or because about a percentage that we have to meet, I think it will be a sad thing. And I feel fortunate that maybe I can afford, if there is a fees, maybe I can afford the fees. But imagine if someone parent who has to choose between food, gas versus paying their child's tuition for coming and learning track and field. It's so unfortunate that those people who really are unfortunate that they don't make enough money are being penalized and not having an opportunity like Coach Webb provides, a free opportunity like this. I thought there was a national program which, talks about teen obesity, so that every child at least gets 90 minutes of playtime. Coach Webb does that. This program does that. And finally, I want to say, I really hope that this panel lets this program, the Mission Valley program, continue as it is by grandfathering it. Thank you.
All right, so Suman, you are next.
Hi, my name is Suman Sood. I'm actually fairly new to the Mission Valley program, only been a month. I've taken my daughter there for the last month or so, and I'm only great things to say about it. I've been a Union City resident for 13 years now. We chose Union City. We had a lot of choices. We chose Union City because we loved it here. All I would like, I think, Dr. Thompson, you asked for ideas like, how we can make this work. I think a lot of people here have already spoken about how great this program is. And maybe the need to grandfather it. I could say one thing, knowing Coach Webb only for a month, I don't think this program will exist after Coach Webb. I really don't think so. And I think if it start, I personally can pay for it. A lot of people here can pay for it, but not everybody can pay for a program like this. I really hope that maybe you can choose a different criteria, maybe like a number of Union City residents who are in the program versus a percentage of Union City residents or NHUC residents. That might be, a different way to look at it. Or, just because of what Coach Webb has provided to the Union City and this district, perhaps, looking into grandfathering program, for the next number of years. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I don't want to miss anybody. Did anybody else want to speak that didn't get the chance? Come on up if you can. I want to make sure we hear everybody. Maybe you can fill out a card after. We're trying to keep track and make sure we get. That's okay.
Just came from work.
Maybe you can start by just sharing your name, and I think I know what group you represent.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Anna Anwas Wong. My husband is Lawrence Wong, and his family has been in Union City for more than 50 years. And his family owns a small little business who have contributed with their passion, with their love to this community. As you can see, I am not Asian, I am Latina. Probably that's important because I came here to United States because a person from Union City, my godmother who lives here a few blocks from here, allowed me to be in this place as the first place of United States that I met. And that was when I was 50 years old. Little I could know that I was going to get married to a member of Union City and became a member of this society. And contributed with the little I have, which is education, right? I am a professor at California State East Bay, and a mother, a proud mother of 2 girls. And I want to emphasize that, girls, because this program, Mission Valley, has given the opportunity to girls and boys to develop on something that is extremely important, which is sports. Who would I have thought that in my family, I never played any sports, by the way, never. It was not part of my culture, it was not part of something. That I will see my daughter obtaining All-American title in Eugene a few months ago. And why was that? Because a person here, not only him, but a group of them had given her the opportunity to reach something that was probably inside her, but would have never been reached, their potential through their, modeling, what they showed her and what they taught her. The other one, it's a kid that probably has some sort of a behavioral educational limitation, probably, we don't know yet, but was able to learn how to do triple jump in less than a month. thanks to Coach Webb, and also participated at the Junior Olympics in Eugene. What I'm talking about is a program that is able to offer diversity to our community, where it doesn't matter if you have a different color of skin. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or you're a man. It doesn't matter if you're young or old. It's open to all of us. Of course, I can say that my husband went to James Logan. I can say that my sister-in-law went to James Logan. My brother-in-law went to James Logan. I didn't have the privilege to go in there. So this is a family who has been here in Union City, seeing our girls using the facilities, right? Seeing that our work as a family, our taxes, our effort is being given there for the community, back to it. It has been an amazing journey, but it's very, very sad to hear that we may not be able to continue doing that. That this wonderful program that teaches life skills through sports, that takes kids in trouble out of the streets and puts them into a program that allows them to move on in life, could disappear. As a society, we need this type of programs. We desperately need to have a place, a safe place for our kids. Not only to spend few hours playing, no, we're teaching them how to become adults, independent adults, healthy adults. What else can a city can invest? What else can a society can invest better than in the future? So I really pledge to you and every one of you to consider maintaining the program as it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, so if I'm going to kind of capture it, it seems like the majority of the comments are concerned around the 70% requirement.
I saw a race.
Oh, is there? Yes, sir.
Sorry, I couldn't fill the blue form.
Okay. Okay, sure, come on up.
Hi, my name is Kunal and I'm from the Mission Valley crew. I wouldn't take the whole 3 minutes, but I would like to quickly share the experience with my daughter. So my daughter is 5 and I want to thank you all for this beautiful facility. And she was fortunate to use it and experience the facility. So when she came in here and she experienced the facility, she was awestruck. And the only thing she wanted was, she said, I want to go to the school when I'm in high school. Now she's too young, she's only 5. I couldn't explain her that this is not a school that you might not go because I'm not in here. But she has made me make a promise that if she is the top athlete at the time when she reaches high school, she will definitely go to this school. So that's the kind of facility we have, and the kids really love them, and it gives them a really good opportunity. And we have already spoke about Lee Webb and all the great things that he has done. But I wanted to reiterate, I know it might be a couple of times that we have said, but it's really a facility or an opportunity for the kids that is very hard to find. I went literally to all the clubs and everywhere that I could go, and everyone had one thing to tell me, like Lee Webb is the best in the California, if not over the US. And if he's able to train your daughter, go in there. And we couldn't find anywhere else, and only Lee Webb was able to accommodate us. And just the thought that we might miss out on this opportunity, or my daughter might not be able to get, because we start restricting and saying only 70% of Union City has to be in. I'm too scared. I don't know what to say. And like others, I also wanted to request that we consider that. Now, Lee Webb says that this is one sport where we don't form a team. There are no people on the bench. Everybody gets an opportunity. Everybody comes in and everybody participates, and everybody can go and participate. If we start having the 70%, we might have people who might miss out on that. If we start collecting fee, there are so many people of us who cannot pay, and we'll miss out on this opportunity. So in a world where we are trying to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity, we would start restricting that, and not everyone will get that opportunity. I wanted to reiterate and tell that to you all to please consider that. And
this is a nonprofit organization, and if there is something that I understand that if we collected for some new groups or someone who collects money, but for nonprofit organization, if we can have some consideration. It just scares me to think that, well, my daughter might not go to this program. And it might not be just a loss for this community or the state, but also the country, because many of us dream of our kids going to Olympics and representing the country and going to Olympics and winning out there. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I just had a quick comment.
Okay, what we'll do now is I'll kind of summarize real quick, and then I think we'll adjourn the meeting. And for those of you that want to stick around that have any individual questions, we'll stick around. So we want to kind of stick to the meeting part. So we'll, if I can just summarize real quick about the comments, it seems like the majority of the folks here are speaking on behalf of Mission Valley, and that the concern is that the 70% threshold will not be met by Mission Valley. We grandfather groups that have been with us for a long time in. And one of the things that it's clear to me that perhaps with the grapplers, for example, is on our legacy application, we probably need a hardship area, something that where you could write and fill in relevant details that might be that we might have missed. So we'll definitely look at doing that in the application process. We'll definitely revisit the 70% part. And I think maybe for us, when it comes down to that, sitting down with Coach Webb, talking about what exactly, we're not looking at having, for example, having to track, we wouldn't even know how to do this. If your membership group fluctuates on a weekly or a monthly basis, we don't have any way, that's too much work for anybody. So we'll take a look at how we might be able to streamline that in a way that makes sense. And then of course we have a couple other ones about the restroom fees and with the scout troops. I think we've addressed that in the recommendation. So you wouldn't be charged a fee if if you're holding it while we have custodians on campus, that kind of thing. So we'll do that. With that, I think for the sake of everybody's time, we'll adjourn the meeting. But then again, if you have any individual questions, please come forward and we'll be here until we answer the last question. And so if you want to go, you're free to go. We'll officially adjourn this at what is that, 7:47? And but we'll be here. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming. This is really helpful for us.